Good afternoon, everyone. This is Emmanuelle, your health coach. Welcome to the Spring Gourmet Detox kickoff webinar. We're going to be together between 3 and 4 p.m. this afternoon. East Coast time, we have some people living in Europe, some people on the West Coast as well, so the time is going to be different. Before I dive right into it, I'd like to make sure that you can see the screens. You can see my screen, the slides, as well as hear my voice. So could you raise your hand if you can see and hear? Fantastic. Thank you very much. So this is a webinar, so there are several capacities for us to communicate together during the webinar. One will be speaking live, so if you raise your hand, I'll be able to unmute you and we'll be able to hear your question. There is also a chat function, so feel free to ask me any questions privately, and I'll try to monitor this as I go to answer your questions. Hopefully this webinar will already, address a lot of your questions and get you ready for this amazing event. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. The agenda for today is to explain to you a little bit what the winter and spring foods are like and why we are doing a spring detox. And my intention here is to really inspire you to embrace those foods. And if you are new to some of those foods, really experiment with that. Then we're going to take a look at the meal plan phase by phase. So there are 3 phases in this detox, 1, 2, 3, and each of them has a very different plan. We'll then take a look at the detoxification process and what really happens in your body when you do a detox. A detox has been spoken a lot about, positively as well as negatively in the news, so I definitely want to dispel some myth here about what it is that we're doing and not doing. Then we'll talk about exercise and rest. Several of you are actually running some marathon or half marathons during the detox, so I definitely want to address that. And for those of us who are not going to be racing, maybe taking this chance to have a rest and let your body repair. And finally, we'll conclude reviewing the schedule of events for the 10 days Spring Gourmet Detox. I would like you to memorize this. Your body loves you. It's showing it to you every single day. It wakes you up, puts you to sleep, it digests everything you give it to digest, good and bad. It works out for you, it thinks, it creates new ideas, new thoughts, it creates a lot of emotions, it takes care of you. Just your body has your back, and it's been having your back since you were born, right? And it loves you, and even if sometimes you feel it fails you, let me assure you, it loves you and it works as hard as it can to maintain balance. You know, it's your human nature to have a balanced homeostasis, and your body works very hard to make sure that all of your vitals function properly. Your heart beats really well, your blood has a neutral pH, and so when things go a little bit out of whack, it's not by failure of your body loving you and working hard for you, it's just that it's overwhelmed. There's just a little bit too much on its plate and it's getting tired. So during this detox, it's your turn to love your body back and let it do its work by getting out of your own way, right? You really have a perfect body. It's built really, really well. It's built to thrive and to be healthy until, you're really, really old. It's not a symptom of old age to feel stiff, to feel lethargic, to feel less libido, to feel, just slower overall, or, this is not true. You can be healthy, vibrantly, energetic, creative, sharp-minded, flexible, strong, well into your 80s and 90s. So all you need to do is throughout the year just schedule some rest and let your body catch up on any work, repair work, rebuild work that may not have been completed because you just had too much on your plate. Okay? The spring detox is I think the most important. There are 3 seasons in Ayurveda, which is the ancient Indian medicinal system: spring, summer, and fall. And each harvest has its own food. The spring, however, is really a really big change. It's renewal. It's the beginning of new plants, of new life. And the seasonal food of the spring are the season's weather antidote. So, and that's the case for every season. You know, every season has its perks and its quirks. So in the spring is a warm season, except at the beginning, so when you transition out of the winter. But typically the spring is getting warmer and warmer. It's a wet month. It rains a lot, right? It's necessary for plants to grow. It's a soft month as well. It's not like the winter, which is really cold, dry, you know, very windy, and it's hard. You know, the earth is hard and nothing grows. So in the spring, with those qualities, some of the human ailments that we may experience are cold, sinus congestion, and allergies. So in order to avoid those or minimize those, you need to eat the foods that are the season's antidote. So the foods that will help you dry out your body against a liquid or wet weather. Foods that will help you be a little warmer when the spring is colder at the beginning, but then as the spring gets warmer, the foods are going to be more and more cooling until you reach the summer, and then the foods are really, really cooling. So being able to switch from a winter diet into a spring diet 100% is really what's going to help you prevent colds, congestion, and allergies, right? And that's really what we're going to do during this detox. I call it detox, but it's really detoxing the food of the winters, getting rid of those, retiring them gradually, and then just really settle with the spring foods. So this detox, and I'm hoping for the next 3 months, you're going to make spring foods the center stage of your diet. And those next 10 days are going to just really help you experiment with those foods so that you're ready to continue post-detox, really eating more of those foods. I really believe that what kills us is not what we eat. It's not really the junk we eat. It's the good foods we don't eat, right? There's a lot of deficiencies in Americans' nutrition. And so I really, really, really abide by that rule of eat more of the good foods. Pile up your diet, crowd out your diet with good foods. And then the foods that are less than exemplary will just, you know, be minimized. So make the spring foods your center stage, and in the spring, the tastes of the spring are pungent, bitter, and astringent. And those foods that correspond to those tastes are the sprouts, the microgreens, the spring roots, the vegetables, the leafy greens, and all of those are in your diet for the next 10 days. And what that does is when you eat those foods, you boost your liver function, which is your number one fat loss organ and detoxification organ. And later in this presentation, we'll go through all of the systems in your body that are involved in detoxification. Those foods also scrub the villi of mucus and toxins, and it also scrub, I would say, your lungs. It helps your lungs expel mucus. So if you're prone to asthma or respiratory issues, the spring food are really essential for you to begin to breathe better during allergy season. They boost the immune system, clear congestion, and build your internal flora. The reason why we need to retire the winter foods gradually is that they are actually the worst poison for the spring. Those foods are oily, heavy, and very warming. So as the spring is getting warmer, eating the winter food is actually going to increase heat in your body to the point that come the summer you'll be burning out and you'll have inflammation that's worsened. The foods of the winter are sweet, salty, and sour, and they're really good for the winter, right? They help you stay warm and stay, maintain your body temperature and also keep a nice oily skin against the dry winter wind. But if you keep eating those now, in April, May, and June, you're going to aggravate mucus and congestion in your body. You're going to aggravate allergies. You're going to increase water retention in a season that's very watery and liquid. And you're going to promote fat accumulation, right? So so the foods that you really want to retire gradually or just minimize tremendously are actually grains. Grains are really, really good for you, but they're warming. So rice to some extent actually is not very, it's cooling depending on which rice. But let's say rice, grains, pasta, and bread, you just kind of want to have less of those. And then one of the grains that may be a bit better in the spring, because the spring is so wet, is corn. Corn is one of the driest grain you could ever eat. So it might actually help you feel less damp. And you may have noticed that when it rains a lot, you sometimes want to eat something crunchy and dry, like a chip. Well, that's why. So in that case, go for the non-GMO corn, blue corn tortilla chip, organic. That's usually what I do. We also want to reduce our intake of dairy. Dairy is sour in Ayurveda, and so that's really something that you eat more of in the winter. In the spring, the milk is really made for the baby animals and it's very, very rich milk that's really not for human consumption. So try to stay clear of dairy. And during the detox, we'll have some grains in a limited amount, and that will teach you a little bit how much you need and how often you should eat them. We'll have no dairy whatsoever. It will be up to you to add it back after the detox. And then we'll talk about animal food in a second. Okay, so this was the overview about why the spring focus, the spring detox, and why the diets that you're going to eat and the foods that I've chosen are very much focused on the spring. Now, it's New York City, and in New York City it's really cold in the spring. It's 46 degrees right now. So some of the foods from the winter are still going to be in your diet, like some cruciferous vegetables, like kale, for instance. Kale is more of a winter food. We're going to carry that over during our detox because it's a nice transition food. So you'll see in the list that I've provided you some foods that are, having a little bit of a winter feel to them, and then some food also have a summer feel to them. Some of the berries that I've introduced are usually more predominant towards the end of the spring and the beginning of the summer. We have a pineapple in there also, which is an option for you to start eating. It's something that you would choose when the weather's warmer. So I'm going to teach you a little bit all of those nuances so that you can start eating, I want to say, like an animal, like really feeling your gut, your just intuitively eating, right? Letting your body ask for what it wants, at the deepest core of your animal being. So I have some questions that just came about infused water, and May, I'm going to table that when I'll talk about water. I think it's a great question. So thank you for asking. I'm not forgetting you. The meal plan. So this morning around 11 o'clock, I've sent to everybody an ebook, as well as actually 2 documents, an ebook in PDF, as well as a spring foods and condiments list. So if you have not received it, please email me. If you have a Gmail account, do check your promotional folders because those emails came through MailChimp. So these are the rules for our detox. Depending on, how serious you want to be with this adventure, or versus, maybe just to 40–50% of it, you can adopt all of those rules, or you can just leave some out, right? If you want it to go all the way, I would recommend not to consume drugs. By drugs, I mean over-the-counter medication if you don't need them, like Advil, painkillers, things that we sometimes take that we don't really have a prescription for. If you can let those out, that would be best. If you are taking medications, right, prescribed by your doctors, by all means continue those. But if you're looking for reducing some of these medications, or if some of those medications help control your blood sugar, for instance, and given that the diet is so clean, you might actually monitor your prescriptions very closely with your doctor, as you may need to have some adjustments in your medication. Do not consume alcohol, caffeine. By caffeine, I mean coffee, if possible, or black teas. I would also stay clear of green teas if you could, although they're really good for you. I will propose some herbal teas instead. Fast foods, of course, sugar, artificial sweeteners, table salt. We can have Himalayan salt and gray sea salt, but not table salt. Soy, because it's hard to digest. Refined, processed, artificial ingredients. We're going to have to start reading labels. We're going to stay clear of glutinous grains. When we'll have grains, there'll be only 3 of them. It will be black rice, oats, and quinoa. All the other ones we're going to leave aside for now. And then animal protein will be banned for the first 7 days, but then we can actually add back fish and eggs to some extent, but we'll keep meats and chicken and any other meat out of the diet. Again, because it's harder to digest, and so I'd rather that you finish, resting your body fully before you go back to your regular diet. And of course, no dairy. What you're going to eat is tons of nutrient-dense plant food, some whole grains, some legumes, vegetables, fruit, fermented foods, spices, seeds, nuts, and healthy unrefined oil like extra virgin olive oil and coconut oil. Quick note on nuts and seeds. Nuts especially are the food of the winter. Just think about the squirrels for a second. They worked all fall to gather those nuts and they ate them during the winter, but then come the spring, there's no more nuts really, and they start losing all of their winter fat. So when we use nuts, we'll use more nut milks. If you want to use nuts for a snack, be really, really cautious. Go very small doses, and I would prefer you chose seeds like chia seeds or pumpkin seeds, which are less caloric and won't, create this, heat in your body. So there's a lot of new things this year in this year's Spring Detox. While in the past I mandated what to eat every day, this year I've given you a list of recipes that you can choose for each phase, right? So let's take phase 1, which is the 3 days of smoothies. You eat 6 smoothies a day, and it will be the same 6 every day, right, to limit the time of preparation in the kitchen and grocery, shopping list. But I've given you 13 to choose from. What's really interesting in this group this time around is that you all have very, very diverse bio-individual needs. And so some recipes may work for some of you and may not work for others. Some people cannot eat nightshade vegetables, so I'm not going to give them, only one nightshade vegetables smoothie to choose from. Some people cannot have citrus fruits. So it was, I thought, important to give you enough of a range of smoothies to choose from. And I've organized them by time of the day. So you would have a few choices for the first smoothie, a few choices for the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Do respect the time at which those need to be eaten. So pick a morning smoothie for the morning, right? You wouldn't have it for dinner. So respect that structure that I've set up, and then just pick whatever you want to. The same goes for phase 2 and phase 3. So the mason jar salads, the cooked meals, the desserts, it's really up to you to choose what you want to make based on your taste, but also based on your appetite and the weather. So go back to the smoothies because it's an easy example. If you wanted to have very low calorie meals for one day, you could go as low as 900 calories if you wanted to for a day of smoothie, but you could go as high as 1,350 calories a day. So depending on your appetite, your level of activity, your metabolism, your goals for this detox, you may choose to go lower or higher calories. It's really up to you, right? You can actually see the calories for each smoothie. The weather is also going to affect your choices, right? So when it's really cold, you don't really feel like having salads all day. You more feel like having a warm soup or some baked root vegetables, some stews. So you have those options in the recipe. You can have warm, comfort foods, or you can have lighter fares. So when you look at your menu, just consider the weather. Know that you have options. What I like to emphasize is simplicity and rest. The detox is a time to rest. You'll have more recipe than you can handle, so do choose only a few. Focus on those, cook once, and eat multiple times. Reuse the leftovers from your fruit and veggie smoothie phase 1 to make some of the food for phase 2 and 3, especially your messenger salads, right? Let's say you have some cucumber left over from phase 1 where you can use cucumber into your messenger, right? And I'm going to teach you that I'd like you to eat the minimum amount of food necessary to satisfy hunger. During the detox, your body has to use most of its energy for detoxing. Don't divert your body's energy into digestion, right? So I need you to really make sure that you eat what you need to feel satisfied, but keep this light feeling, keep the burden on your digestive system really low. So I'll teach you about hunger. Those who are repeat detoxers here have already learned about toxic hunger versus true hunger, but we'll keep practicing that. In Ayurveda, typically we don't snack. So I have created snacks because some of you, again, as I said, are competing during the detox and need to eat more frequently than others. But if you can avoid snacking and really give rest to your digestive system between breakfast, lunch, and then lunch and dinner, please do so. I have included a spring foods and condiment list. Unlike the previous year where I gave you a shopping list, this time, because it's up to you to design your detox and choosing the recipes that appeal the most to you, I couldn't prepare a shopping list for you. So what I've done instead is I've listed in the spring food and condiments list all of the foods that are across the board covered in those recipes. And this really is a really nice list, a 2-page list that shows you all of the spring food that you should be eating for the rest of the spring. So as you read through your recipe, have the spring foods and condiment list nearby and start checking the box and just decide what you're going to buy, right? It's a really good list, and so I would recommend you photocopy it for maybe like 8 weeks or the 10 weeks we have left in the spring, and just every week when you go to the grocery store, just make sure that you have some of those items in your shopping shopping cart. Okay, so why don't we go phase by phase? The phase 1 is your smoothie cleanse. Now 6 smoothies a day, so it's 1 every 2 hours. In addition to that, this year new, we have some boosters. So those are your shots of high nutrient dense foods like ginger, turmeric roots, like aloe vera, like spirulina, which is an algae. So when you want to have just a little bit of extra, do make a booster. It's very quick. And I recommend that you eat the boosters in conjunction with your smoothie, right? Either before or right after. In addition to that, between each smoothie, so within 2 hours, you need to drink an additional 2 glasses of water between each smoothie. And several reasons for that. One is that a smoothie, unlike a juice, a green juice, has a lot of fiber. So I need you to help this fiber move down through your intestinal tract with the water. In addition to that, you're going to have quite a lot of detox symptoms, and we'll talk about what that is. And so water really helps alleviate headaches or soreness in your body. It's really a cleansing mechanism. So to your question, May, about water infused, I would recommend not to flavor your water because it will require digestion before your body can absorb the water. right? When you have even lemon water. So we're going to introduce lemon water a little later, but that would be only in the morning. So if you can have just regular water, warm water, cool water, meaning room temperature water, this is what I would recommend. Not ice water, which takes a long time to warm up to be digested. Just go for regular water, something that your body can directly assimilate, and just reserve infused water for after the detox. The first 3 days you may feel a little sleepy, so if you can take some naps, I recommend that you do. If you can work from home, do so. Bedtime will have to be early because dinner ends at 6 or 7 p.m. So, 3 hours later you may feel very tired, or you may start feeling hungry again if you stay up, right? Your body is going to say, okay, well, we need another smoothie now because obviously we're not going to rest anytime soon, so I need more energy. So do watch that. Count the hours after your last smoothie and make sure that you go to bed before your body asks for more food. We'll be doing gentle exercise every day, and then on Monday we're going to have another webinar with Anne Kohler called Tap In Happiness. She's going to teach us how to, she's a chief emotion public speaker, very, very entertaining, magnificent, I would say, and she's going to really help us understand our emotions better and start working with them so that you experience happiness most of the time in your day-to-day. And when you start feeling cranky from your detox symptoms, it's actually really nice to have some tools to help you work through your emotions or anything that may come up during those 3 days. Then after that, phase 2 starts on Thursday through Sunday, and I called it the Clean Act. So you're really going to eat very clean foods, very simple foods, vegan foods. It's basically the foods you've had in your smoothies, but in a solid format with additional ingredients like grains and legumes. We'll start the day with lemon water. You'll have 3 meals a day if you don't snack, or 5 meals a day if you snack. You need to continue drinking water, and I'll ask that you make sure you have half your body weight in water, so half your body weight in water in ounces, right? So if you weigh 120 pounds, you would want to have 60 ounces of water a day. And teach you about mindful eating. The dinner is still going to be early, 6, 7 p.m., bedtime early as well. Exercise is going to become now moderate. So we're going to raise up a little bit the intensity of exercise past the first 3 days. And we're going to introduce some different techniques for you to really feel clean, not only inside but outside. So breathing with your diaphragm, using maybe the neti pot to prevent allergies, tongue scraping, skin brushing, and then Anne is going to teach us a happiness meditation that you can practice if you feel like it. And then the week after that, the last 3 days, we are starting to add more foods. And we are going to experience a really great level of mental clarity and awareness about what your body needs to thrive. What usually happens is you start craving anything. You don't really have any food cravings. You crave life. You want to get out there and you want to do things, and you have a lot of imagination and a lot of new ideas, and you feel confident, you feel better, you feel lighter, and so you really become high on life. You live more. The diet is going to be vegetarian because if you are not vegan and you like fish and eggs, you can add those back then. You don't have to, but you could. Okay, so I'm going to stop here for a second before we move on to what is a detox and ask you whether you have any questions. And I'm going to look at the chat function rapidly and see. Okay, great question. Can you please explain why soak the Brazil nuts and how to use the nut milk bag? Okay, so what's interesting with nuts is that they do have compounds that are toxic to human consumptions, all of the nuts. Think of the plant. The nut is really the baby of the plant, right? And the plants don't really want anybody to eat their fruit. right? They're meant to be left on the ground and then just get another plant later on. So all of the nuts, cashews, almonds, all of them are toxic at a certain quantity. And so when you soak nuts, you actually deactivate some of those compounds and make them more edible for human consumption. So that's why we would like to soak the nuts, so Brazil nuts, for instance. And then the nut bag, the way it works, you just blend your nut with water, and you use the nut milk bag to just strain your milk and just leave the pulp of the Brazil nut out of the way. It's just a strainer, but it's a very, very fine strainer, so you actually are able to get a maximum amount of milk. And what I like about it is that you can, once most of the liquid is gone, has been filtered into a pot, a pitcher, you can use your hand and squeeze the bag to really get all the cream out of the nut bag. You can't really squeeze a metallic strainer. So I hope that answered your question, Camille. Anybody has any other questions? Amy, I see your hand is up. I'm going to unmute you and see. Ah, your hand is down. Okay, great. Fantastic. So why don't we move on to the next topic then? How does the detoxification process work? I get this question a lot because detoxing has gotten a lot of bad press. And there are some very scary ways to detox with some, pills to take, or, completely fasting, or drinking some strange, potions. But really the way it works is that your body has its own detoxification process. And there are 6 major organs or systems in your body that detoxify your body. The first one, the largest organ, is your skin. So during the detox, you may have a very strange sweat. So sweating is the way that your body eliminates and detoxifies through the skin. So keep your skin really, really clean. Brush it every day. Shower once or twice a day. Try to use soaps and products that are gentle to your skin. Nothing harsh, nothing to chemicals during the detox. You may also feel, some of you may actually become red in their skin. You may have maybe some red patches, some itches. A lot of things can happen during the detox that just show that you are indeed detoxing through your skin a lot more than other people maybe. The second one are your lungs. Your lungs have a detoxification power as well. And so what they do is they just unable to rid themselves of mucus or toxins that may have accumulated in their lining. And the way you do that through your lung is through exhaling or coughing. So if you start developing a cough, right, don't be alarmed. Just know that it's part of your detoxification process. Maybe you're somebody who has respiratory issues. Maybe you do have a lot of mucus and congestion in your body. Maybe you are somebody who suffers from, sinus infections regularly. So just be aware of that. You may actually cough a lot of mucus, or may having a lot of mucus in your throat as well. So it's pretty interesting to see what will happen to you during the detox. The lymph is the third one. The lymphs run throughout your body underneath your skin, and it carries the nourishment throughout your body, but it also clears the waste from your body. So it's really important to keep your lymph moving during the detox, which is why we're not stopping exercise. We're exercising. We're actually exercising every day. So if you're not an exerciser, you're going to have to start doing this just by walking every day. In New York City, we have a studio called Aqua Cycling, where you can actually pedal in the water, and it's really nice. It helps you activate your lymph in a beautiful way, compresses your body and activates circulation. So you just want to make sure you keep things moving so that your lymph can carry out waste. The colon is another way to detox, of course. It has 2 purposes, the colon. One is to absorb nutrients, right? So it's going to basically empty the water left in whatever food is reaching that level, and then it's going to carry the waste out of your body. The liver and kidneys are going to be under very much stress also during this detox. The liver, number one, is your main detox organ. It's your main weight loss organ. In fact, it works around the clock. It's your gatekeeper. Nothing goes through your body or through your mouth without being checked by the liver first. So it has over 500 different jobs to do. So you can imagine that if you keep overloading your digestive system with bad foods, and on top of this you're having a stressful job, and on top of this you never move, you can really have a liver that's becoming sick or sluggish and just doesn't do its work, and eventually become very sick. So during this detox, we're going to minimize the digestion burden and let the liver start detoxing itself and strengthening itself, so that after the detox, when you start eating again normal food, you'll actually feel that your digestion is much stronger. Finally, the kidneys, they're responsible for fiber metabolism and to filter waste, toxic waste, out of your blood. They regulate the pH in your body as well. So during the detox, what you may experience is a sore lower back, and that typically in a detox environment just shows that your kidneys are working very, very hard at filtering all the crap that's going through them, right? And so the more toxic you are, the more they're going to work. Quinoa is a grain that really works well with the kidneys. It helps support and strengthen the kidneys, which is why I included quinoa in your diet starting on day 4. So bear those in mind. Those 6, skin, lungs, lymph, colon, liver, kidneys, are going to work over time. And they may not have worked that hard in a very long time. They may have just given up a little bit. So get out of your own way. Your body loves you. Love him back. And really care for those 6 systems every day during the detox. Any questions? Does the skin brushing need to be with dry skin or wet skin? I would recommend dry skin. So there's an Ayurveda practice, which is a gentle brushing of the skin with some gloves, which are on raw silk. And you basically start, sitting down naked, and you're going to go from your feet all the way up to your knees, all the way up to your hip, and then you're going to go from your hands to your shoulders, and you're basically going to rub your body towards your heart. And the way that you rub your body is on the long bones, let's say the femur. You're going to have a long upward stroke, and around your joints, like your knees, your elbows, you're going to have like a little circular stroke. And so you can do that for 5 minutes every day during the detox, or you can do that for 20 minutes. It's really up to you. It's a delicious massage as well. I actually had prepared a video for that I will share with you if you're interested. But you could go with, you can also use a brush, like a regular brush that you can find in a drugstore. Whatever feels good. It doesn't have to be very vigorous because it's going to be a daily practice. And you'll see it. Some people in our previous detox have felt like they had a crocodile skin within days because their skin was just becoming so dry because it had so much toxic waste laying on it. So just pay attention to what will happen in your body. You don't know what's going to happen until you go through this. And for those of you who've detoxed before, every detox is different. Maybe you were fine with your skin last time, and then this time around it's going to be, drier than it was before. Okay, moving on. So let's talk about a detoxification side effect, right? So you have those 6 systems that are going to work really hard to make you clean. And so there are some things to expect. Headaches is usually something that everybody experiences. Mood swings, thank God, and color is going to help us here manage our emotions or explore those. I think what was interesting is that when you start having those headaches and mood swing, it's pretty easy to start thinking about popping an Advil. But what if you actually took that moment to really listen to your body and hear what it's saying? when you detox and you lose some fat, so your body basically lets go of fat. And the reason fat is important to lose, even though some of us here don't want to lose weight. I don't want to lose weight personally. I am at my ideal weight and I want to keep it. But I know that I have some fat stores that may be dirty. Fat is actually where your body stores toxins. So when you eat some processed food, or you happen to eat, I don't know, a sports drink which has artificial sweeteners in them, those artificial sweeteners are not going to be digested because there's no manual to digest aspartame in your body. So instead, your body is going to start storing those dangerous chemicals in your fat stores. And it's going to stay there for a long, long time until you lose that fat, basically, right? And so when you start detoxing, your body will look at where those chemicals are, where the danger zones are, and start making you lose that weight and that fat. And then if you are at your ideal weight, then you'll regain the healthy fat, clean stores that your body will remake by itself, but without the toxins in it. So in fat, we store toxins. We also store trauma. So we store emotions that were very traumatic. So if you've had a loss, if you feel very sad, if you feel anxious, if you have fears, those will come back to the surface during a detox as you melt your fat. That's that. So skin rashes, digestion issues, you may go from having gas to diarrhea to constipation, or all of this at once, or all of this over the 10 days that we'll be together. Just be mindful of how you feel. Let me know if you have any questions. You'll be very tired, especially the first 2 days, so get plenty of sleep. This is one of the reasons why I'm asking you to have a 12-hour fast between dinner and breakfast so that your body can really rest rather than digest and repair. You may have cravings for food, and it could be cravings for food that you let go, or it could be just toxic hunger. So we'll talk about that. Toxic hunger, for those of you who have food addictions, even if you don't know it, like if you can't live without bread, for instance, you can't live without sweet treats, you certainly have, a sugar addiction. And so you may feel dizzy, you may feel lightheadedness, stomach cramps, you feel very moody from not having those foods. But you'll snap out of it eventually, and you'll experience true hunger, which is not painful, and it's not felt in your belly area, it's felt in your mouth and neck. The conclusion here is that it's worth it. I didn't say it would be easy. It's not easy, but it's worth it, and your body needs it. Finally, let's talk about exercise and rest. Good question. I'm backtracking. You guys are so great. You have those ideal questions here. So Camille is asking, if you're not hungry, should you have the smoothie anyway, or can you have as you desire? In the smoothie phase, you need all 6 smoothie. That's really important because your body needs some ammunition to work through the detox process. And just if you don't feel like you're very hungry, typically that you don't have much appetite, just choose the lighter calorie smoothies, but do have one every 2 hours, right? That's really important. You cannot go beyond 2 hours. And someone asked, how do you know whether you are at your ideal body weight? I'll actually send you a support email early in the week to teach you how to determine what's your ideal body weight. So hold that thought. What's really interesting, though, when you start eating the right foods, really, really good food, and there's no more junk food, your body finds its ideal weight by itself. And you know you're there because it doesn't fluctuate anymore. It doesn't drop and it doesn't go up. So my weight is 128, and it's been my weight for a long time, and even more so that I eat seasonally. So even in the winter, I may have maybe 1 or 2 pounds more, like in February or January if it's snowing and horrible, but that's very little difference. That's really what I go with. But what's interesting is if you are yo-yoing 5 pounds or 6 pounds, you obviously are not at your ideal body weight, right? You haven't found that balance. And when you are at your ideal body weight, even if you splurge on one big dinner, even if you drink too much for a weekend, your weight doesn't go up really. Your body just works harder to metabolize the excess, but you're pretty stable in how much you weigh. So exercise and rest. We are going to exercise every day, 20 to 30 minutes, mild exercise. Like there's no raising heart rate, there's no muscle soreness, you're not building muscles. It's really important that if you are an exerciser, and I teach fitness classes, I teach about 22 group fitness classes a week, and on top of that I do my own training. Like I have to train for myself as well. So I top a lot of hours of exercise every week. I'm going to lay low. Right, I'm really going to go slow. I'm not going to teach all my classes, of course. I'm going to put students on the spin bike or demonstrating things for me. But I'm going to exercise just enough that I feel that my body remains supple, flexible, not stiff, that I feel I can go to the bathroom regularly, that my mind is not stuck. Exercise really helps me keep my mind flowing. So it's going to be somewhere like 20 minutes easy walking or, light jogging or, easy bike pedaling, swimming, 20 minutes, something like that. And then I'm going to email you every day a short video to teach you new skills to enhance your exercise practice. I'll make you work on balance, on core, strength, cardio, different aspects of a training, agility, different things that can help spice up a little bit your exercise routine and teach you how to have an integrated training program. One thing I wanted to say for those of us who are addicted to endorphins, and I'm very guilty of this, is that your body doesn't get stronger when you exercise. It gets stronger when you rest. So if you are like me and you exercise every day, most likely your rest has been like long overdue, and you could actually be a lot stronger and leaner if you were taking some time off hard routines. Now, if you are one of those people who are going to, race or do a marathon or half marathon, email me separately, and then we'll just fine-tune a little bit the schedule for you. Most likely you will not be on the smoothie cleanse until after your race. You'll start on day 4, and you'll integrate some smoothies because they're really great to give you tons of nutrition with very little digestion power, which is good for an athlete, but you may need just to have your grains earlier in the detox. So I hope that is helpful to you. You're not going to lose fitness by not exercising. So what happens, I trained with the National Academy of Sports Medicine, and the two things that they told us, it was, one, you start losing your cardiovascular high, so the top number in your anaerobic capacity begins to lower after 2 weeks. Okay? We're only doing 10 days, not 14 days of detox. So your cardio should not change. And if anything, there is somebody in this detox here that actually could attest that she did beat her very best running time right after the detox in a race. And she had taken everything low. She did the smoothie. She didn't train. She didn't run. And she was able, when she got back into running, to go so much harder with clean legs, and she hadn't lost any of her cardio. When it comes to muscle mass, it takes 2 months to start losing the strength in your muscles. So rest assured that you will be okay by taking rest. Okay. I have a few high mileage questions for you, and I'd like to open the mic actually on those. I'd like you to start thinking about why you're here, if that's all right. The first question that I have for you is, what do you think is the reason for your sub-optimum health today? Otherwise stated, if you're not feeling your very, very best, maximize potential as a human being, why do you think that is? So I'm seeing some answers pour in. So stress is one. Anyone care to share or type in the chat function? their answer? The second question, overeating, eating sweets, too much focus on work, too much sitting, not enough time for rest and preparing meals. Thanks for sharing that. I'm sure it resonates with everyone else. Second question, and I only have 3. What is the greatest challenge for you to change these habits that you just outlined? These habits that get in the way of you being your very best. Take a minute to think about that and utter what the answer to that question is. Drinking socially, so trying to drink less socially, trying to pack too much into a day. I would like to scale back and maybe make time for rest and taking care of myself. I need to relax more. I have a tendency to do emotional eating, and I work on stress level, and I like to manage my stress better. Awesome. Good. So with that in mind, what are you ready to start doing differently this upcoming week, starting on April 13th? We talked about habits with these questions, right? The food, I'm taking care of that for you. I've outlined the plan. We're going to have an emotional happiness webinar. You're going to have some exercise, but in terms of habits, what is something that you'd like to do differently this upcoming week and practice for 10 days with the support of me and your group? Any courageous souls here who want to commit themselves to doing something differently? I'm going to go to bed much earlier, and I'm going to stop eating out of boredom and stress. I'm going to shop and make all of my food and smoothies at home, no relying on pre-made or packaged food. Love this. Which actually leads me to want to say a word about the travelers. So about a third of you, I'd say about 15 of you are traveling during the detox. Some of you are doing Monday to Friday, consulting work, living in a hotel. One of you is actually going to drive for 2 days, 10 hours a day from Florida back to New York in her car, right during the smoothie phase. I'm going to be celebrating my birthday in New Orleans next weekend, so I'll be on detox food. No hurricane drinks for me, nor beignet for that matter. So how does that work? It's pretty easy, actually. In the ebook that I've given you, there's a whole chapter about how to do that. You basically need to abide by the rules of what to eat and not to eat. And there's a few things you can bring with you, but most of the time it's going to be harvesting the local town for any health food stores or farm-to-table restaurants with a really good list of side dishes that you could use, and then knowing how to ask the kitchen at your hotel to prepare a few simple foods for you. So it's actually pretty easy. When I worked at PwC, I did the detox for about 5 years there, 3 times a year, on the road all the time, and didn't find it difficult. If anything, I had more energy than my coworkers, and I was feeling really good the next morning, not having been out drinking at the wee hour of the night with my clients and coworkers. One last thing that's being shared here. I'm going to put away electronics at night to rest and relax. Oh, I love this. You guys are so good. Let's finish here with the schedule of events. This weekend, you're going to read the book, decide what recipes you want to make for yourself, use the food and condiment list to do your grocery. And then on Monday, we're going to have the happiness webinar. It's at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. It will be recorded. On Wednesday, a week later, there will be the wrap-up webinar, which will focus on leading you to a place where you feel confident that you can own the new good habits that you've taken and start to meshing back in some other aspects of your life that you had, put on hold in order to let your body rest. I will send you an email every single day. It will arrive in your mailbox about 5 a.m. It's coming from MailChimp, so if you have a Gmail account, look in your promotional folder. This email will really be here to cheer you up, help you understand what's going on that day in your body. It will give you some education about food, nutrition, exercise, and there will be a mini exercise video that you can click in order to get some coaching, 3 to 7 minutes, depending on what it is, things that you can do to spice up movement in your life. I'm also going to add all of your names to a private Facebook page. It cannot be accessed by anyone else outside on the Facebook community. So only you will be able to see who's in there. It's actually more than private. It's a secret page, so you would not even be able to search for it in the Facebook bar. But in order for me to be able to do that, I need you this weekend to friend me on Facebook, right? Emmanuel Galland. I should have put my name here. It's on the next slide. So that I can add you to the secret detox Facebook group. Unless you friend me, I won't be able to add you, right? So I'm friend with some of you already, but there's a lot of you that I do not have in my friends. So go ahead and friend me, and I will add you to the Facebook page. On that Facebook page that I monitor every day, I'll be able to answer your questions throughout the day. You'll also be able to interact with others. So I would like that each of you jump in and answer everybody else's questions, share your food pictures, show us how good what you're eating is, especially since all of us are going to eat maybe different smoothies or different recipes. It will be fun to see, what other people are eating and what you think of it. I'd like to tell you this, is that getting in balance and staying healthy is an evolution. It took me years to be where I am today. It's not 10 days only that will solve all the issues or make you feel like, you have, I don't want you to feel that you have done less than you could do. It's going to take detox after detox for you to feel better. It's going to take practice. So you have 3 months of spring to eat those spring foods. If you could only add more new foods, try to move a bit more, try to rest a bit more, learn new things about your body, you would be exactly where you need to be, right? Wherever you start is the perfect place to start. I went from sickness to be super healthy, and it took years. Actually, it took about 7 years to be where I am today, stable in my weight, super healthy. But it started with that detox 7 years ago. So I'm wishing you a lot of fun. We'll be in touch. I'll be taking care of you for the next 10 days. And I'm really, really looking forward to this. The food is delicious, and the company is like beyond tremendous. Any last questions before I close the webinar? If you want to be heard live, you can raise your hand, otherwise you can chat. Okay. Are you excited? Raise your hand. Yay! Fantastic. This is going to be so much fun. So much fun. They're getting better and better, those detoxes. Oh, one last thing I wanted to tell you. If you're interested in Zenberry, you know that I am biased to Zenberry. It's my on-the-go superfood protein drink mix that I created because I was on the road all the time and wanted to have access to superfoods and green vegetables and so on. The discount that I've given you is valid until Monday. So Monday would be the last day that I would be shipping, Zenberry to you guys. So take advantage of it. It's a really big cut in the price of the product, 30% off. And I will talk to you on Monday for the first email. If you have any issues with getting the information, not seeing the Facebook page, email me privately, and I will just go throughout the weekend and supporting you to be set up for success. With this, I wish you a really good evening, happy reading, and happy grocery shopping, and I'll talk to you on Monday. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.